I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker?
It's good to see you. Listen,
You're a Bitcoin maximalist. You're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
All right, hey everybody. We're starting late, but we're starting hot. For those of you listening, I got the white hat on today. The white hat kind of clashes, doesn't it? Right? It looks like it's blinded by the light. I'm going to add music. I'm going to be doing a whole revamp of this show, and I'm going to try to have David come on Wednesday, if he will, and join me. But this will be. We'll still finish by the bottom of the hour. It'll be a 22-minute show, and it's a little bit of a grab bag, but a grab bag with a point. So I'm going to start with a couple things that happened. We're going to ultimately, I want to talk about Iran and what's happening in Iran. Not so much the market implications. We'll touch on that, but what's really going on there. But I want to talk about the Department of Homeland Security funding issue. Those are my two main things, but I want to actually kind of tie this in to the absolute division right now, the partisan divide. So I actually think I'll just start with the Iran, move into the DHS, and then move back to these other examples. Because what I've realized is we're not just in a gridlock. We've been in gridlock for 30 years. We're in a paralysis. Gridlock's just everything's kind of clogged up. The road, no one's moving. We're in paralysis. It's like all the cars are just not going to go anywhere, no matter what. Everyone just get out and start walking. So let's start with Iran. Okay. Whatever you think about Iran, you can't possibly, well, you could, but most of you would listen to this, and I think most Americans would be like, Iran is a problem. I don't think that's just most Americans. I think much of the world thinks that. Most of the Gulf states think that. The Saudi Arabias, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Dubai. Everybody thinks that, Iran is a problem. And of course, Israel. Much of the world, Europe, thinks Iran's a problem. They are let's be clear, they are and have been the single largest state sponsor of terror for decades. We say that word like casually, state sponsor of terror. What does that mean? Okay, you could argue the US does certain things and European countries do and Russia does and, I don't know, China certainly does. Things that might seem like we're imperialistic or, well, right now, a lot of people would think we're imperialistic here. But a state sponsor of terror literally funds terror organizations. They literally fund organizations that want to promote terror, bombing, blowing up civilians, wreaking mass havoc. They don't go after like the government or take out the military. They literally try to create the most amount of terror and destruction, largely aimed at civilian populations. Iran for decades has been the single biggest sponsor of that in the world. And they've got their benchmarks. And most of them center around the Middle East and Israel because they're on a mission to eliminate Israel. So, you've got Hamas in Gaza, you've got Hezbollah in Lebanon, you got the Houthis. Those are the three big ones. But they sponsor terror everywhere. And they would like to sponsor it here. The craziest thing that I've never got about people with Iran is Iran has made really clear at the highest level of government, the Islamic Republic has made clear death to America. They think we are the evil empire. But more importantly, they think our culture, our values, what we stand for. And you can argue whether we're standing for them appropriately or not. But if you're a Dem or a liberal out there going, yeah, well, look at our country because we're not, take a check on yourself. Do a body check, look in the mirror. They don't like that we want women to be empowered. They don't like that we think free thought should be free thought. They don't like that we value as a principle uncensored speech. They don't like our values. They do not like the Christian Judeo values. Well, I'm not a Christian and I'm not a Jew. Okay. They don't like American atheists. They don't like Bill Maher. They don't like what our culture stands for. It fundamentally runs against their vision, an extremist vision of Islam. They are a theocratic republic, which is not a republic, but a dictatorship. And they do not like any dissent to that theism. That theism does not allow for women to walk around wearing t-shirts. It doesn't allow for women to have any empowerment or agency. Women are the servants of men. Women do what men tell them to do. Women need permission to do everything but breathe and make babies. I've said it before. You commit adultery in Iran, the woman's going to be the one that's in trouble. You get raped in Iran, they'll often say the raper wasn't the problem, the victim was. She asked for it. She did something. Women are always subjected to the lowest level. They don't like gays. They don't like lesbians. God help you with transgender. They don't like liberal in the classic sense of liberal thinking. They want America and all its values erased from the map. Same for Israel, with an extra added little icing on the cake. The Israelis are Jews, so it's a double whammy. They are a democratic society, a quote liberal society, and they're Jews. So it's double. Get rid of the Jews, then get rid of Western civilization. So that envelops Europe too. Germany, France, Greece, Spain, Italy, United Kingdom. They don't like any of that. Now, they might like, say, a lot of the Muslims who've moved into certain countries, but only if those Muslims are willing to go like farther. They were not going to like a moderate Muslim woman living in Europe. No, wrap your face up, bitch. You're not allowed to show anything. You are subject. You literally live in a subjugated space in our world. And I'm focusing on women because that's the first thing that you see in our society. I'm going to like it or hate it. OnlyFans is one of the most successful platforms in the world. American OnlyFans creators are making a fortune. You know what Iran would do to every one of those American OnlyFans creators? They would torture, rape, and kill them. Fucked up that they'd rape them, right? How are we going to punish you for being a slut? We're going to rape you. And by the way, I'm not saying OnlyFans creators are sluts. I'm saying that's what they would say. For your immoral behavior, we will punish you by sexually assaulting you and getting off. Effed up. There's an Iranian athlete, a woman, she spoke out about women. Oh no, she didn't wear a hijab in public and she was high profile. They gave her 75 lashes. Think about that for a second. 75 lashes? You're going to have scars for life. 75 of a guy with a big whip going across your back. This is not S&M. This is not, just 50 Shades of Gray. This is like 10,000 shades of pain. They hung publicly a 19-year-old Olympic wrestler because he walked in a protest and he was a public figure. So representing, hey, a high-profile person representing protests against the government. They didn't just imprison him like some places would do. They didn't just take him and torture him or lock him up. They literally hung him in public. And the pathetic International Olympic Committee, after days, finally came out with its response, which was, we seek harmony with everyone and we respect whatever country's decisions are. Our job is to promote harmony. They couldn't even bring themselves to say, this is absolutely abhorrent and unacceptable. So there's no part of me, or I think most Iranians, who want to keep this theocratic terror regime that brutalizes, terrorizes, punishes, hurts, impoverishes, kills its own citizens in power. You can argue whether we should have done it or not. You can be a MAGA person and go, you know what? Trump said no more foreign wars. Yeah, he violated that. He's in a massive foreign war. It's getting more massive by the day. But as I've said, in 2006, 2007, I was out there saying, Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon, and they're going to build an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM. And when they do, when they build it, if you build it, they will come, said Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams. Well, if they build it, it will come. They can reach Europe right now. Now, they pretended they didn't have an ICBM. Remember, they were like, well, our missiles can't go more than 1,500 miles because we don't have an issue with anybody outside of our region in the Gulf here. That's our world. We don't care about Europe, America. Well, under pressure, with everything being blown up left, right, and center, and Israel and the U.S. destroying all of their military assets, what did they do? They launched a long-range intercontinental ballistic missile at a United Kingdom U.S. base that was 2,000 miles away. Wait, I thought you didn't have a missile that could do that. I thought you weren't building those missiles. You didn't care about that. Oh, once again, Iran lied about what it was doing. They were building a missile to do it. They had to use it because they're running out of options. They absolutely were building an intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach Europe and the U.S., and they built it. And they'll, left unchecked, they'll build a longer range one. They absolutely were building a nuclear weapon. At some point, people have to lift the blinders. We weren't building a nuclear weapon. We have the right to civilian nuclear energy. Well, a lot of people in the U.S. and certain people, and maybe they were more neocons, but I said it, and I'm not a neocon, were like, you can't let them do it because they're lying. But the proof came out. They were enriching it way beyond what you need for civilian energy. They were enriching it levels to build a nuclear weapon. Once you reach the enrichment levels for energy, for power, you can stop. We all know, they've admitted, we found it. They were enriching it levels borderline to nuke. They were getting closer and closer to getting to the point where it would be weaponized nuclear bomb material with an ICBM that could deliver. Can you imagine? And I said this 15 years ago. Can you imagine in Iran with the ability to have a nuclear weapon and the ability to launch it not just at Israel? I said 15, 16 years ago, they'll launch it at Israel in a heartbeat. They won't think twice about launching a nuclear weapon and going, bye-bye, Israel. See, we just took you out. See how your Iron Dome does with this guy. But more importantly, they'd hold the entire world hostage. That is not me channeling Donald Trump. I don't care about what Donald Trump says. That is facts. We've all known it. Some of us just choose to look the other way. I get it. I get the desire to negotiate for diplomacy. Neville Chamberlain did it famously in Munich in the 30s. The Prime Minister of England made a peace deal with Hitler. Neville Chamberlain did not want to be in a war. He negotiated with Hitler, came back, headlines, peace for our time, peace for all time. That was the quote Neville Chamberlain said. Peace for our time, peace for all time. How'd that work out? Well, what was it? 2 weeks later, Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia or Poland. Hitler never intended to make peace. He was just buying time. Chamberlain came back thinking he'd made peace, saved Europe from another world war. Because, of course, World War I was horrific for everyone. It was bad for the U.S., but it was really bad for Europe in terms of what they lost. No one wanted. It was 1919, 29, 30. 20 years later, you're going to have another one? I don't blame Neville Chamberlain for not wanting it. But you couldn't negotiate with Hitler because Hitler wasn't interested in negotiating. Hitler was interested in taking over the world. And yes, killing the Jews and the Catholics and everybody else along the way who didn't fit the superior race thing. Separate conversation why he did that. The Iranians aren't trying to take over the world, but ultimately they would like the Islamic revolution to spread across the world. So if they can take out the Jews in Israel first, that's mission one. Two, cause as much destruction as they can into the Western world where they hate the values and try to convert as many people as they can to their radical ideology. Thus, the terror cells all over the world. That's been Iran's plan. And they've negotiated and bought time for decades. Eventually, time was running out. Do I think Iran was about to have a nuclear weapon and Trump saying it was an imminent threat? No, I think it was an imminent threat 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I think it's been an imminent threat for 2 decades. They've just been on the verge of doing it, and meanwhile causing chaos and havoc and pain and death everywhere they can, also in their own country. That government goes down and is replaced by a democratic or semi-democratic or non-theocratic regime. 90% of Iranians will be happy, maybe more. It's like when China went down. All the people who profess to really love Mao and the Chinese communist model that Mao did suddenly came out of the woodwork and like, we were just saying it so we didn't get beat up and harassed and our families didn't get hurt and we didn't get tortured and locked up. Truthfully, we're super happy. Like, that's what will happen in Iran. So again, did we face an immediate imminent threat? No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, one point or the other, Trump was lying. Either we wiped out their nuclear capabilities in the first round, which he said we decimated them. He got so mad at anyone who said we didn't. He's like, they're done. That's Trump. We wiped them out. There's nothing left. Okay, so how, like 5 months later, whatever it was, were they on the verge of making a nuclear bomb, thus being an imminent threat? I thought we wiped it out. Both can't be true. We wiped it out or we didn't. We didn't wipe it out. Did we degrade it? Significantly. Were they about to have a nuclear weapon? I doubt it. They weren't a week away. That's just a government line from the Trump White House. But they were going to get one. They were. And I'm not going to buy into this Candace Owens BS of like, we're Israel's lap boy. We're doing what Israel wants. We're not. Grow up, Candace. Look at neocon politics. Trump may not be what he said. He might be a neocon. It was the perfect time. Israel's like, we're going in, with or without you. Trump probably said, all right, good opportunity. Let's go in with you. Let's finish the job. Because we didn't actually finish it the first time. We degraded it, but they're going to keep building and they're going to keep doing the shit they do. Let's go in with you. Let's take them out this time. Let's literally take them out. We're with you. It was a completely strategic move on the part of the U.S., whether you like it or not. Sooner or later, it had to happen. Israel was going to do it by itself if they could, and they can do clearly a pretty good job. Like, man, they just take out leader after leader and the next leader after the next leader. They could take out Iran's infrastructure if they wanted. Having us in the battle, sure, makes it a whole lot easier. It's a two-force thing. But we did it for our own interests, whether you agree with those or not. Long term, I think those are America's interests. But what I realize is one half of our political divide, even if they think it's good, can't acknowledge it. So Chuck Schumer was on Morning Joe. And remember, Joe Scarborough was a Republican, then became a progressive, right? And he's married his wife, who is co-host and wife, Mika Zabrinsky, is the daughter of Nixon's national security advisor, who was like a hardline conservative neocon. But Joe Scarborough pushed back on Chuck Schumer, and he said, listen, forget about the politics. Just on a military level, can you honestly not say it's a good idea that we degraded Iran's military? Forget about the politics, the timing. Isn't it just fundamentally a good thing? Would you say it's a good or a bad thing that the number one terror sponsor in the world, who wreaks havoc everywhere, has had their military capabilities degraded? Chuck Schumer couldn't answer it. He just said, I can't answer that. That's not the way to look at it. He's like, we should have planned this out. We should have thought it out. We didn't realize the consequences. What if it leads to worse things? And Joe Scarborough said, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying ultimately, if we degraded their military, isn't that a good thing? Chuck Schumer couldn't say yes. Why not? Why couldn't you say yes? But there may be some unintended consequences, and I'm not sure those are good. And I think we could have thought them through better, or maybe prepared for them better, or maybe we shouldn't have done certain things because of those consequences. Both things can be true. Maybe it's going to cause pain we shouldn't have to have. But yes, ultimately, now that it's done, it is a good thing that we wiped out the resources of the biggest bully on the planet. That's a good thing just on its own. He couldn't say it. Nor can most Democrats. Sean Fetterman, Senator Fetterman being an exception, he's in a purple state, so he has Republicans and Democrats, but I think he's also level-headed about it. And there's a whole lot of things that he stands for that are progressive agenda items that he doesn't agree with, the Republicans and Trump. But he's basically like, how is this not a good thing? It's common sense. How is it not good that Iran's military is degraded? How would it not be good if the Islamic Republic, if the theocracy fell and was replaced by any other government that gave the people more of a voice, that freed them and freed the world from this regime of terror? I mean, they're literally taking out ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And if they're going to let you buy, if you're a good ship in their world, if you're a China ship or whatever, we'll charge you $2 million a ship. Wow. We'll profit off you. It's crazy, right? You know the old stereotype, and my girlfriend's a Jew, so no one can accuse me of being anti-Semitic. The thing that the Jews like money. The minister of Iran, I guess, are you part Jew? Because he was like, look, you know what? You got to make money off this. We lost money. We got to make money. Sorry, that's the way it is. Wow. You're charging tankers to go through that you like, and the ones you don't like, you say, I'll blow you up. I want to be clear. That joke about money and Jews was a joke. I go to temple almost every week with my girlfriend. I love it. I love Jews. I love Judaism. I'm not a Jew. I'm not religious per se, but beautiful, beautiful faith. They can't say it. They can't say it. And that puts us in a problem. So where do we go from here? The war is going to get worse. Iran is showing a resilience in a weird way. They're doing what Japan did. They're showing that they are willing to expend all resources and just literally burn their country to the ground rather than quit. So you strike our power, we'll strike all the desalination plants in the Middle East. We'll literally create a water shortage. We will create a global economic crisis. We will burn to the ground. It was Japan before Harry Truman dropped the nuke. We will fight to the last fucking standing person. We don't care. That's how much they want power. That is scary. That is not a leadership that cares about its country. It cares about its power. All leaderships care about their power. I'd argue that with ours. People don't put country over party very often, but this is like next level. Okay, I got just a couple minutes left because I'm going to go over time here. I want to just address the DHS standoff because it's happening right now. I'll make it simple. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said, the decision to deploy ICE agents at airports will create chaos. And then he said, these are untrained individuals who are going in their current job. They can't do it, let alone deploying them in close proximity in highly sensitive situations at airports. And he basically said they will expose people to untrained ICE agents and create chaos at airports. And then said, ICE agents at airports will only this is Sidney Blumenthal. Jeffrey said that they would end up killing people. Sidney Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal said, it will only make things worse. They will drag parents from children, detain citizens, brutalize families, shooting, and even killing. Wow. If ICE is in the airport as TSA and they are pulling people out and shooting them and brutalizing them, I'm not for it. And I'm not even a fan of the fact that they're in there in their vests and the thing. But I understand them. The TSA agents are quitting, calling in sick, especially at these big airports, Atlanta, Newark, Houston. But here's the simple thing that I want to say, and both sides are at fault here. I want to be clear. Democrats don't want to fund Department of Homeland Security because they want reforms with ICE agents, the masks, the protocols, etc. So they're holding it hostage for that. But here's the problem. ICE is being funded. The Trump administration and Republicans have found a way to fund ICE anyway. So the holdout is not forcing ICE to be in freeze mode and not get paid. So your desire to have reforms with ICE, or you won't fund them, isn't working because they're getting funded. Who's not getting funded is all the people who have nothing to do with ICE. Disaster relief, TSA, everything else in Homeland Security, the counterterrorism, all of it. None of that's getting funded because Democrats don't want to fund something that will help ICE, but it's not helping ICE. ICE is getting funded. So why are you playing this stupid game? It's total hypocrisy. But on the other side, Republicans play a similar game, right? They could end the standoff. They're already funding ICE. They don't have to cave into the demands the Dems want. They actually could fund ICE. They could fund the DHS. They could literally create a separate. They could do a budget reparations that simply funds the rest of DHS without ICE. So we're just funding the rest. So you guys all going to vote. We could probably pass it without you, but we're just funding everything else. We'll leave ICE alone. We'll sort ICE out later. They could do that too. They could also do a filibuster. Why have Republicans not done a filibuster? I only have two answers. One, they're all in a corrupt cabal together. Like, do a filibuster. I mean, end a filibuster, sorry. End the filibuster. Then you only need 51 votes. You can do it. You can pass it. You can pass everything. Break the stalemates, all of them. End the filibuster. Why not? Well, because, that's how we make consensus happen. We're not getting consensus. We're not getting a majority of anybody else, a partial group of anybody else on board. No Democrat will vote for anything that affects ICE in a positive way, period, end of story, even if they want to, except for John Fetterman. Unless they're in a super purple state, no one will. They'll get punished by the Democratic Party. And John Fetterman said it. Senator Fetterman said it. So okay. Remove the filibuster. Why won't they? And why isn't Trump making it a big deal? I want you to get rid of the filibuster. It bothers me. Now, the argument, well, because then Dems will use it against Republicans if they get in power. Okay, which tells me most Republicans think Democrats are going to win in the midterm and take control of both houses. But I'll tell you something. The Democrats will eliminate the filibuster the minute they get in control of the House and Senate. I think it'll be in 3 weeks. They'll have eliminated the filibuster. It'll be one of their first priorities, and they will pass everything they want. So might as well eliminate it now and get as much done as you can. Should have done it 6 months ago and just push things through. That's the world we live in. And I've said it before. I do think Dems win in the midterms. I think Republicans see the writing on the wall. And Trump ain't making it better. Even if I agree that he needed to deal with Iran the way he did, I will be the first to say he didn't deal with what he promised. He said, I'm going to make America first. Saying I'm making America first because I'm getting rid of Iran. Yeah, sort of. But I mean, the point is he was going to focus on America's problems. He said no more foreign wars, all this stuff. And he's done the opposite. He wants to be, Teddy Roosevelt. He wants to be a world leader. Venezuela, Iran, Cuba's next. Let's take Greenland while we're at it. Like, it's all about that. Oh, gas prices, don't worry about it. Oh, you people are making a big deal. Like I said before, he's being a Biden. Oh, what you're feeling isn't real. It is real for most Americans. And it will. The midterms almost always go against the incumbent president, except for like George Bush after the Iraq War. The difference here is that if Dems win both houses, even with just small majorities, they will end the filibuster. And they will impeach and convict Donald Trump, and he won't be president. But at the end of the day, that's all politics 6, 7, 8 months from now. I'm looking at today. It's ridiculous that both sides play this game. Both sides could make a concession that would get everybody except ICE funded, and they're already funding ICE. They're getting funding through a different path, so it's all just politics. And Iran, again, at some point, you got to stand up to a bully. You can't negotiate. Iran's never proven it was reliable in negotiations. It was never going to be. It was Hitler. The real Hitler is not Donald Trump, like him or not. It's the Islamic Republic. I'm Rob Nelson. Thanks for watching.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker?
It's good to see you. Listen,
If you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know